Okay.
That's great. Thank you very much indeed, Tommy. And thank you to everybody for joining us on this virtual show today. This is the first one that Carl and I have ever done. The first show we ever did was at Kettering last year, just before lockdown. So this year, sorry. So it seems like years ago.
It's been 11 years.
And so now we're subjected to a virtual environment. We wanted to share our boxes with you. Trainsporters is a business that kind of spawned out of by accident, really. Carl, myself, and Tony, our fellow founder, are all part of the Hillingdon Railway Modelling Society. And we've got a really nice O-gauge layout called Grindley Brook, which some of you will have seen in a couple of magazines. And those of you that have been lucky enough will have seen it live at various shows. And we've won various awards for those, including Best Show at Worley a couple of years ago. So extremely proud of what the O-gauge team have done, albeit Carl and I and Tony actually model in double O-gauge. But having gone along to those shows to support that team, we recognised that they were suffering a problem, which was just getting the trains out of the packaging that they had brought with them, carefully transported it up in their original boxes or wrapped up in bubble wrap. And it was taking them forever to then build their formations. What should have been a relatively simple task was causing significant problems and angst for the team. And so we set about sort of seeing if we could come up with a better solution for them. We'd seen some really good examples from various other retailers. 10 Commandments, for example, have a really nice solution for the double O-gauge fraternity. Some of us had actually bought some of those in the past, but we couldn't see anything that was the same for the O-gauge teams. So because of various business connections that we have, we knew people that could provide us with precision foam cuts, which form our inserts today. We use the really useful boxes. We make no bones about that from the Really Useful Product Company. It's a British company made in the UK. Quality is excellent. The boxes are really fit for purpose.
Yeah, and they're recyclable plastic as well, which is another high for us as well.
It's another bonus. And so coupled with their excellent boxes and our selection of inserts, we then asked the O-gauge team to review them for us to see if that would work for them. To our pleasure, they said they would. They bought some of them even, and they've started to use them, or they had started to use them before we couldn't use them anymore, for transporting stock around and, equally importantly, storing their stock. So the boxes could, all of their original packing boxes could go up in the loft, and they've now been using our storage boxes for all of their locomotives. Word got around, and other branches bought some. We've done a number of products to the Twickenham Club, so thank you to them, and to the Guildford team as well, local to us because we had affiliations with those as well. And then more and more people were showing an interest, so we decided to see if we could launch this as a business to service a wider audience of people and a larger group that might be interested. And I'm very pleased to say that so far we've sold a significant number of these boxes, and we wanted to share them with you today and to show you some of how the design works and how some of the sizing works as well, because some of the very often questions that we get asked are about the way the sizes work and why one size might be better for one type of stock rather than another. I'm going to pass over to Carl now and ask him to explain. Actually, we're going to use our most popular box, what we call a red label box, and Carl will run you through the details as far as that's concerned. Let me just flip the camera if I can to give you a better shot of that. There you go.
Right, lovely. Thank you, Mark. Right, this is a demonstration of our most popular box at the moment. O-gauge once again. This is the TS031, which is a red label box. So everything that you see on the website has got a colour code to it to try and help you with what box that you have. So the cut of this is that the actual width of the slots for the stock is 68 millimeters. And this allows you to put coaches, locomotives in it, and wider stock. We'll go into the other whips that we have as well, but they're all basically the same sort of design. You've got the 4 rows for the stock. That's whether the coaches, locomotives, or relative wagons of different sizes. Now this one, we've designed it so that at the bottom of it, it's made up of 4 different layers of foam. So you have a base layer which covers the bottom of the box, and that is 15 millimeters in depth. Then on top of that, you've got an 80 millimeter depth of foam, and we've split that to go 35 on top of that, so that when you take your stock out of the box, I'll see if you can just show you that now. Take that out. So that's the 35 millimeter that we take out of the box and the blocks, and that slightly exposes the stock in the box, so it just allows you to take it out with simplicity without having to grapple out and put your fingers in and damage anything. So I'll take one of the coaches out now, and we'll just demonstrate how simple it is to take stock in and out of the box, just to show you how quick and effective it is to you. So I'll take one of the coaches. These coaches have been supplied to us by Ellis Clark. This is the Mark I Suburban coaches. We do supply the actual sleeving, but it's not for everybody. We know that, but it's just we put in everything we possibly can just to put thought into it. So if you've got stock which has got delicate parts in it, like door handles, rails, boards, brake levers and stuff like that, the sleeving is pretty helpful with that. So here it is, coach in a sleeve, and this should work as simple as it did in the dry run.
In all the rehearsals?
Yes, rehearsals, and yes, I think I've done it. Oh, and just slide straight out the sleeve, nearly there, onto the track there. Seconds. Now, if you was doing that in a relatively box which is built for the coach, that would take you, what, a couple of minutes, possibly, with all the different packaging. And we know that the manufacturers will do that anyway to protect their stock, because, of course, you do pay a lot of money for this stuff anyway. So there you go. Quick, simple, seconds. And in reverse, put it back in the sleeve, roll it back into the sleeve. If Mark will pass me the box back over.
Yeah, mate.
Lovely. Thank you very much. I hope you can see that pretty well.
Nearly fell off my chair. That was so simple, Carl.
It's a good start, and it's live as well.
Yeah.
That'll be a bit of fun. So there we go. There's the box there. Coach in the sleeve, back in box. Once again, seconds. Yeah, simple as that.
It was. Yeah. So let me just move the camera back to show us both.
Yeah.
There we go.
Right.
So hopefully you can see that the frustration we were seeing firsthand with the members of Grindley Brook was somewhat simplified. They now use, or most of them use these boxes for shipping their parts. As Carl said, we were very lucky to work with Ellis Clark, who loaned us some coaches so that we could make sure that we got exactly the right gap. This one is a 68 millimeter slot, but Carl, we also do a 61, don't we?
We do the 61. The 61 was the first one we started with, and it was what we was provided with width-wise by our own group from our O gauge group. And what we found was that a lot of people were either wanting the slots to be really tight with their stock, or they wanted it loose. So we tried to make adaptations for people's different tastes. So some people, were just worried that if it was too tight, the stock could get damaged. And once again, with the sleeving, it really does, it helps that. It just pulling it in and out of the box.
It nice and tight. The other reason for the 61 was because some of them wanted their wagons, and we noticed that most wagons tended to be somewhat smaller, half a centimetre or so smaller. and it just allowed us then to have boxes that would allow us to have an 08 set with wagons. We also wanted people, where possible, to have a formation. So, for example, an 08 with a number of wagons, you can get roughly 3 wagons per slot, so up to 12 wagons per box, or 4 coaches, or a combination of those, a locomotive. Not many people put locomotives in them, not because they're not fit for purpose for locomotives, but they're pretty precious, and a lot of people carry that valuable stuff around in their own wooden boxes that they've bought. But actually, we have had people carry multiple Class 50s around in there without any problems, and you know, several £1,000s worth of stock in those boxes. We'll come on to a slightly stronger box that we do, a slightly different variant on this in a moment. But Carl, could I ask you just to show a quick demonstration of the different snap-on inserts that we have as well for that?
Okay, so with each of the box, each main base of foam, so you've got your either a 60mm or an 80mm foam blocks. You have what we call snap-offs. So when you take these out to reveal your slot for your stock, you will find these blocks. Now they're pre-cut to different sizes. So if you wanted to, if you didn't have something that was quite the size of the slot, you could break one of these off and buffer it up so that it's well supported inside the box, so it won't roll about.
Or if you've got multiple wagons, you can slot one of those in between the wagons and just ensure that they don't slide for any reason. And then what people often do, and Carl had it in there earlier, they'll put one of these on top of the wagon, also just to protect it while it's in the box before the lid goes down, just to stop it moving around.
Yeah.
The plastic sleeving, do you just want to talk about that for a moment?
Plastic sleeving. Now it's applied in a tubing, and we make sure there's enough there sufficient for all the slots you have in your boxes. So that's how it will come in a tube sleeving like that. And as you can see in the Alice Clark coaches, that fits pretty nicely. With wagons, you can put it in just as so. You will have extra plastic there, so you can either pinch it and hold it in like that, or if you want to, you can just cut it so that it's a sheet, just like that, and then you can just wrap it, and then once again in the box, just slide it in with ease. So what we've done, we've supplied the tools, so to speak, for the boxes, but it's however you want to use them, which we like to think we've covered everything. But once again, the whole point of this session today is that if you have any other queries and you're not quite covering what you have a query for, then speak to us now.
So why don't we stop yakking on for a moment or two and open the floor to you guys and girls. Does anybody have a question? If you do, please pop it onto the chat room. We've got one here. Do your boxes have just one layer or multiple layers of stock? So at the moment, it's just a single layer, but it's an interesting question. We are considering what we might do for multiple layers. One of the things that we want people to be able to do is to put a complete formation in their box. Now, often that will run into more than we can slot into the 4 slots that are available. So first of all, we've tried to use 33 and 22 litre boxes because they stack on top of each other. These, you can see, they're the same footprint, so that they slide on top of each other. They lock into place, not completely locked, but they held into place together, and it stops them sliding around. So when it's in transit, it's much easier. And yeah, I was just demonstrating there. They're not going to fall on us. The 20s and the 30s lock into the same footprint, so that works for all kinds of sizes. We do a 20 litre box for the O gauge as well, and typically we found that is ideal for wagons rather than the higher coaches or vans or locomotives. and we use that for wagons or for low loaders or flats.
Yeah. And even with that, you could actually get, if you have gunpowder wagons, that will just about get into a 20-litre box as well.
Yeah.
So that's about your limit that you'll get into a 20-litre.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. So let's have a look. Any other questions? What are the outside dimensions of the boxes? So that's a good question. Let's just give you those. I'll tell you what, Carl. You keep. Oh, here we go. It's the 640 by 400 millimeters, and they're 145 high.
And with regards to some of the stock that we've already had in these boxes, one of our members collects Caledonian coaches and locomotives, and I think he had a dining car which was a 12-wheeler, and that fitted in our slot pretty well, really. So that's quite significant size of coach compared to a standard Mark I coach. So that it gives you just that little bit more of flexibility as regards to what you can put in the box. The other thing is that, so we're working with Ellis Clark with their new press flow wagons. We've found out from them that per slot, the new press flow wagons, you can get 4 of those wagons into each slot. So a box with 4 slots would give you 16 wagons if you choose to do that, or locomotive, or even a brake van or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, thank you, Carl.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to do one more thing. Earlier on, we had a look at how we can put the actual heights of the bits of the 2 bits of foam against the wagon. So let me move this out of the way, so that you can measure that. I think you'll probably need that.
Yes, I think I do, yeah.
And I'll move that out of the way.
Thank you very much. Right. So just to demonstrate the depths of the foam that we have, so they're split up. So it's for more of these of taking your stock in and out of the boxes. With regards to the 20-litre boxes, which is the actual foam slot cuts are 60 millimeters in depth. So that will allow you for mineral wagons, bogie bolsters, once again, depending on the loads that might be on there and the stanchions, how high they come up, but you pretty much can get stuff like that in there. Then when you go to sort of coaches and locomotives, the variety of the boxes that we have, for instance, the one that we just showed you is the 80 millimeter for the TSO 331, which is the red label box. The main height for the cut of that is 80 millimeters, and then on top of that, your second piece of foam, that's 35 millimeters. So that will give you. We found that most O-gauge stock was about 95 millimeters in height from wheels to the roof, or roof vents, things like that. So we've made sure that we've covered those sort of areas, and that will cover the coach or locomotive, pretty substantial box van, whatever it may be. The other thing is that we found by coincidence really was where we split the foam, you can actually reverse the blocks that you take out of your slots, and you can raise the height of the stock, so that if you've got stock, say a mixed freight train, traditional freight train with mineral wagons, you can raise those up in the slots by reversing the top foam, taking the cutouts to the desired width. Once again, easy to cut with a knife, cuts really easily.
And that just brings them up in the box, so it's easier to lift it out of the box when you're taking it out.
So that'll raise the height.
Carl, just hold your horses for a moment. We've got a couple more questions coming in.
Fantastic.
So what are the outside dimensions of the box? I did just want to clarify that again. For the 20-litre box, let me give you those, because what I actually gave you was the inside dimensions, so forgive me. The external dimensions in metric are 710 millimeters by 440 millimeters, so that's the length and the width, and they're 120 millimeters deep. So that's 710 by 440 by 120. And if I just flip to the 30-litre now, I can give you that dimension as well.
33
litre. Yeah. Thank you, Carl. I'm always getting that wrong, aren't I? There we go.
Only remember it because of the locomotive.
So the external width and the depth are the same, but the height is different there. And then on the 33 litres, the height is 165. But because the width and the depth are the same, that means that the boxes interlock with each other without any problem. And as I say, that helps with the stability when they're in transit. Right, we had another question with, what is the difference between the yellow and the white 20-litre boxes?
Well, the yellow is, once again, it was the yellow and the blue box designs that we had, and that the width of the cuts of the foam is 61 millimeters for stock of that width.
For the yellow?
Yeah, for the yellow. And also the white.
The white is 68.
The white is 68 millimeters. So it's personal preference again. So some people like their stock to be packed in quite tightly, and we thought that we would try as an experiment just to see if the 68 would suit people for that size of box and stock as well.
And we've had another question in around which box was that, please, for fitting the 4 wagons. Right. So that would most likely be the 20-litre box if it's one of these sort of height wagons. That would be a yellow. That would be because it's 61 millimeters wide as far as the slot is concerned, so hold those wagons nice and securely. And you'll be able to get 3 wagons per slot with the 4 slots. So you've got 12 wagons that you could have in a box like that, or you know, what, 10 wagons, a brake van, and a weight or something like that, or one of our good old pannier tanks. Let me see if there's any other questions.
We've tried to cover as much of stock as we possibly can, just to make sure that we just fit for everybody and everybody's purpose and taste as well. Because as I said before, it's regards to sort of everybody has their own preference on how they pack and store their locomotives, coaching stock or wagons.
We've had another question, which is what boxes do we find the most popular? I guess that's probably from a question from a competitor. So no, seriously, the red box is the one that we find most popular. A lot of people want to put their coaching stock in those. Some people do put locomotives in them, as I say. They are probably the most versatile of the boxes that we do. And as Carl has said, by using carefully the cutouts, you can actually put multiple wagons in there of different heights and hold those in there securely. They're held quite nice and snugly on the width. We don't find they move around in the slot at all, but you can then put another bit of foam on the top just to give that bit of protection as well. So it's the red in the O gauge, and if there's anybody looking for the double O gauge, then the orange in the double O gauge is the one that we're finding is important as well. That's it for the questions there. We did just want to spend the last 5 minutes telling you about some of our future plans. And one of those future plans is to ensure that, or try to work with a number of different manufacturers to provide train sets. So as Carl mentioned earlier on, we would love to be able to provide a prototypical press flow set formation. We would love to be able to work with KMS up in Scotland on some of their HST stock that they've got coming out. That would be wonderful. And in that particular case, we would probably then develop our 2-layer piece so that we could keep everything in a single box. We're also looking to do train sets. I've got an example here. I know this is the O gauge build, but to give you an idea of what we're looking at, we are looking to create a number of different train sets in a number of different gauges. So you can see the boxes are pretty versatile. If you just hold that back, we can get a complete Pullman in there. We would love that to be full of HSTs, for example. The boxes is designed, we've tried both for the O and the double O gauge fraternity to make them as useful as we can. So they will take a Mark III, for example, or a Mark V. They'll even take the slightly longer sprinters that you have there. I won't dwell on that because, as I said, that is double O gauge kit, and we're here to talk about O gauge. The other thing that we're thinking about, and one of the other things that we're passionate about, is electronics within model railways, and we're actually thinking about putting together some good quality kits. I know you can buy handsets and controllers for DC, but a lot of people still like to be able to solder things and manufacture things for themselves. So we are thinking about bringing out a variety of handsets that people can actually manufacture themselves with precision pre-cut boxes, so that it's and Legends boxes, so that it would be very easy for people to come up with what they want. And we can't wait to get back out to see you in the flesh in the fullness of time. I've just got a couple of thank yous, please, if you wouldn't mind. I'd like to thank the Gauge O Guild for inviting us today, and for it's been a pleasure to speak to you all. A special thank you to a young lady called Angel, a young man called Philip, Tony, our partner. All three of those have been instrumental in helping us to get where we've got to. So thank you to them very much indeed. To Ellis for his support, and of course for Jackie and James and Tommy at the Gauge O Guild for their support in helping us come to you today. Hopefully you found it beneficial. Our website, if you just do a search on Trainsporters, it'll take you to our website or our Facebook page. If you want to talk about anything or query anything that you've seen today, or just talk about our boxes, please don't hesitate to pick up the phone. We're more than happy to take calls. We do have the special offer on today for a reduced postage. We're subsidising that for the day as part of this event.
Yeah, and just one other question sort of just come in is, do we sell the sleeves separately? We can do that. Yeah, as well.
So several things. We're going on our website. We're going to be putting up the our boxes come with several labels. Some of these and these to show what is in the boxes. Obviously, that's the double O gauge. There is an O gauge variety of that as well, and we'll be putting those onto our website so that people can use those as templates. Type in their stock and details of their stock, so that you know exactly what's in the box without having to take the lid off. That will be there, and we are seriously looking at how we will provide the precision cut inserts. They are expensive because they are precision cut, and when we bundle it together with the boxes, we're able to provide a very economical solution. However, we know that people will already have some of those boxes available to them, and so we will be providing those inserts separately. Carl's already mentioned the happy to supply more of those plastic sleeves at any time.
Yeah. And also we do have the silica gel in there as well, because we know that some people do, some of our customers keep their stock in either a purpose-built shed, a loft, or a basement. So it just, the silica gel will warn you to tell you if there's any moisture getting out by changing colour, but that's all on our website. You can look at that. Once again, please do not hesitate to give us a call, because we really would like to chat with you with any queries that you have.
Yeah, and any existing customers that we've had, we dearly like the feedback so that we can continually improve the product.
Yeah.
That's us, everybody. We're also known as the Box Boys. Trainsporters Limited is the business, and there we go. Hey, and we will be supplying other solutions going forward, but this is our first venture, and so far it's going very well. Thank you very much for your time and attention today. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you very, very much, gentlemen. It's been very interesting, as that a lot of food for thought, and I'm sure we've all got a lot of stuff, a lot of models that need good substantial boxes for them. So thank you very much. I think that's the end of the presentation now, and enjoy the rest of the show, everybody.